Oh man, beautiful people, patriots across this incredible nation, the beautiful bastions of freedom, the BBOF, reporting for duty this evening. This is a live episode because I've got to show you the insanity that's now slipping out on accident. We've gotten to the point now where the evening news is taking over. All of the leftist talking points, the media manipulation around the tragedy that happened today is starting to culminate in all the talking points and the talking heads around why you shouldn't have any of your rights. That's inevitable. We knew that was going to happen. However, it is interesting to watch the insane shift as we go into a conversation around one of the left's sacred cows, because the irony is rich on this one. Now, of course, guys, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, turn the notification bell on. We are on the cutting edge of this freedom push for our Second Amendment rights and all the other rights that we hold so dear. And every time that you hit that subscribe button, you make a leftist cry. I mean, that's worth it by itself. So as you guys get in here, make sure you send this one out. The notifications are on the struggle bus, but we are grinding towards 600,000, and thank you for doing just that. All right, guys. Audio, video, good, excellent. You guys, I need you to send this one out for real. So all the stuff that I can actually show you is on my X profile at Braden LOA. You can see it right there. However, I want to introduce you to the Minneapolis mayor. Now, he said a bunch of things today, all of which I disagree with in the wake of the tragedy that occurred. But I'm going to lay out a few things that he just said, because it turns out that when you go after one of the sacred cows on the left, they don't like it very much. And then they start doing all sorts of ironic statements, all right? I'm gonna walk you through this step by step, but let's start this off really early on with a clip from the Minneapolis mayor, who openly said, stop praying for children, don't do thoughts and prayers. Again, this just sets the table for who we're dealing with, okay? I'm gonna play this short clip, and then I'm gonna go to the real irony, the sacred cow that we're not allowed to talk about. Yeah, we're gonna talk about it. All right, 11 the emojis, audio, video, let's get it.
These were Minneapolis families. These were American families. And the amount of pain that they are suffering right now is extraordinary. And don't just say this is about thoughts and prayers right now. These kids were literally praying. It was the first week of school. They were in a church. These are kids that should be learning with their friends. They should be playing on the playground. They should be able to go to school or church in peace without the fear or risk of violence, and their parents should have the same kind of assurance. These are the sort of basic assurances that every family should have, every step of the day, regardless of where they are in our country.
I mean, don't miss an opportunity for a campaign speech at a tragedy site. Typical politician. All right. To me, I take that as mocking Christianity, mocking thoughts and prayers, mocking all the people who wish this would never happen, personally. But that doesn't really get past me. That doesn't really sneak past the surprise in my world, because let's face it, they're manipulative politicians. All right. If you're going to go after the thoughts and prayer thing, and you're going to mock the fact that they were actually in prayer and they were actually in mass when they were assaulted by this individual, I'm going to leave that one alone for a hot second. That's kind of insensitive. That's kind of to the point where it's like, wow, that's gross. That's gross. You're mocking faith in this. Okay. Well, now let's, excuse me. Now that we've established this, let's jump right over to where we start to get into a little bit of a sacred cow. Now, I showed you earlier today, I'm going to go big for this one. I showed you earlier today where this guy had a clip where he's basically turning this into a gun control talking point. Of course he is. Duh. We know that was going to happen. That's a standard operating procedure. However, this is where it got really interesting. And by all means, let me hear you in the comments. If you see this, hit that like button, throw the emojis in there, share it out, okay? This is an important perspective that we have to understand while we're fighting for our rights against these types of wannabe tyrants who would stand on tragedies like this. So, as we're getting into this, understand, they are talking about too many guns in the country. I'm going to show you all the stuff tomorrow when the time clock elapses where I feel totally comfortable to go after these tyrants. But right now, this guy's called for gun control. And remember, when he's done the calls for gun control, he has gone after a specific group in the United States, gun owners. Okay? Remember that. The Democrat politicians do it. The media does it. This guy does it. They all do it. You guys let me know in the chat if you agree, okay? Now, that's a standard norm. But then, when I show you this, it gets a little uncomfortable because now you're getting a little bit out over your skis when you start to talk about this. Here we go. Let's get it. Same mayor.
All of us. And I have heard about a whole lot of hate that's being directed at our trans community. Anybody who is using this as an opportunity to villainize our trans community or any other community out there has lost their sense of common humanity.
I'm just going to pause it for a second. So anybody who would use this tragedy to go after a subset and community of the American population has lost their humanity. Like gun owners? You mean the people that you demonize and you say you have blood on your hands? Guys, this is why I do this channel. I fight for all of us. This is what pisses me off more than anything in the world. They have this cognitive dissonance where if you say one of their sacred cows, like a transistor radio, like you're seeing this guy talk about, that you have lost your humanity. If you are using a tragedy to go after a subset of American population, you need Jesus. Although it's weird because you don't need Jesus earlier because the kids didn't have Jesus and didn't matter because thoughts and prayers don't matter. But now all of a sudden, you're going after the transistor radios. So now that you've gone after the transistor radios, you've lost your humanity because you're going after a group of people based off of a tragedy. Let's remove the transistor radio and let's put in gun owners. Oh my God, it's hypocrisy. Let's keep on going because this, again, I was collecting stuff all day. This is it.
We should not be operating out of a place of hate for anyone. We should be operating from a place of love for our kids. All of us.
We should not be operating out of a position of hate. We should be operating out of a position of love for our children. Well, I know one side, our side, the gun rights, the freedom, the conservatives, the patriots in the nation, who are saying defend all of our children and harden every single space because we love our children. And I know the other side who is saying take your rights away because you can't be trusted because criminals might misuse them. But don't you dare go after the transistor radios, because if you do, you are weaponizing yourself against a subset of the population. And don't worry, guys. If I'm not landing this plane yet, and you can let me know over here in the comments on the live chat, let me jump over to CNN because CNN really picked this up. They thought this was a great idea. He's on to something. Let me get this a little bit bigger for you guys so you can see him in all of his glory. So listen to this. This is Mayor Jacob Frey, Democrat, Minneapolis. Okay, same guy. We've established this. Let me show you what CNN is setting up. Again, don't you go after a subset of the American population because you have lost humanity. Listen to this.
When you talk about compassion, I don't want to tiptoe around the edge of this, but, you know, the shooter's name was in question, the gender of the shooter. No one's really sure what's going on there. 5 years ago.
Okay, I'm sorry. I want to okay, good Lord. No one knows what's going on there? Yeah, the entire internet knows what's going on there, Aaron. No one knows what's going on there. Yeah, it's quite simple. We all know. We've all seen the videos. We've all spent time on X. We all know how twisted and mentally deficient this individual was. All the hatred, all the racism, all the bigotry, all the transistor radios in the world made the most amazing signal on X ever today. Everyone knows. There is no... All right, let's just keep going.
It was Robert, then a name change to Robin. Okay. This is being seized in all corners, as you can imagine, in all sorts of ways. And you know that, Mayor. And perhaps that's why when you spoke about this so profoundly and powerfully as you are even here now, but when you spoke about this today publicly, you voiced concern for the transgender community, for the community overall.
Hold the phone. I have so many questions. Why, if there were so many questions and we're tiptoeing around all these little details, why is it important to go for, speak for the transgender community? Why? If it's a big question and there's so many things that are surrounding it and we don't really know all the details, why are you so sure about the question, the setup for the question and the response, but you're absolutely positive about what he's going to say? Isn't that weird? You know, we got to tiptoe around it. But we do have to defend that subset of the population. You know, got to. Guys, I'm going to do this all day because this is the right thing to do. These people are manipulative. Let's keep going.
And obviously, you chose to do that in that moment because you thought it was important. And I wanted to give you a chance to say why you felt it was important to do that in that moment.
Obviously, I've heard about the rhetoric and the narrative that is being pushed out, but here's the thing. Anybody that is going to use this as an opportunity to villainize our trans community or any community has lost touch with a common humanity.
All right, well, there it is again, guys. We have confirmed, come here. We have confirmed that anybody, this according to CNN, anybody who would use a tragedy like this to isolate and single out an individual community or group of people in the United States has clearly lost their humanity. By the way, gun owners have blood on their hands. Same breath, no embarrassment, no hypocrisy, no irony. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I am your voice because I don't want to be that arrogant position of I will speak for all the gun owners, because that's not the way that I view myself or this channel. But honest to God, if no one's going to say it, I freaking will. Because this crap, they will call you a demon to your face because you believe in your gun rights and you want children to die and you want blood on their hands. But if you say a word about transistor radios, oh my God, how dare you single out a subset of the American population? Read it between these lines. All right, let's keep on going. Because I know all of you are good people, and that's what's the worst part. You're all good people, and they victimize you with their rhetoric and their... let's keep going.
We got to be operating not out of hate for any group, but out of a love for our children. That's where the focus needs to be right now. A love for our kids. Seeing these kids, not just as somebody else's kids, this horrific thing happened, but what if it was our own? How would we feel then? So, look, we need to be standing up for every community out there. A Catholic community, too, by the way. I mean, any community that suffers this kind of blow, our Minneapolis community, you got to stand up for them. But, you know, I feel oftentimes in these instances there's this desire to villainize a group.
Now, what group could we isolate out and call all sorts of names and accuse them of the worst things possible because they believe in something bigger than themselves? Catholic? Christian? Minneapolis? Oh no, but gun owners are fine. Guys, this is probably one of the most important pieces to this entire thing that's happened so far. The cognitive dissonance and disconnect between this guy's speech. It's not on accident. I'm a guy on the internet. This is not difficult to see that he could also be talking about gun owners and the gun community, but nope. Can't villainize anybody but that pesky gun community. They speak out of both sides of their face. I'll fight them as long as I have a voice. Because this is wrong. They demonize you guys. They demonize your children. They demonize everyone who believes in the same way that you and I believe. But don't worry, it's wrong if you do it to anybody else. But if they do it to you, it's perfectly fine because it's just. Well, let's let him wrap up. That's why I think this needs to be set out and sent, to be honest.
You want to call this an act of cowardice? Do it, because it is. But regardless of what group or background, gender, you know, the bottom line is that kids got killed. Let's love each other more. Let's love each other more, because the antidote to hate is not more hate. Hurt people, and the antidote to hate is a whole lot more love. That's where we all need to be going right now.
Well, Mayor Fry, I'm grateful to you for taking the time and sharing that. And thank you. Thank you for being with me.
You really? Come here. Listen. How do I say this right? The exact same people that you just witnessed have a kumbaya moment about protecting every single individual group, and we got to love every single person, will villainize you, me, make us demons, go out and say that we hang on to our Bibles, guns, and religion. They'll do it all day long. Every single tragedy that happens with a criminal act, that's your fault. Every single gun owner, that's your fault. Every time there's a gang drive-by in a city, that's your fault. Everything like that's your fault. Guns everywhere agenda, the gun lobby. More guns equals more death. But if you say a word about a pattern that you're starting to notice with transistor radios, oh my God, why do you hate every single individual? The answer is love, unless you're a gun owner, which I hope you die. Tell me I'm wrong. There's a comments field. There's a chat right over there. Legit. It's crazy. All right, that's what I got for you guys. I will see you tomorrow, and we'll keep on cracking on this passion of freedom. All right, I love each and every one of you, just the right amount that makes you feel comfortable. I will see you on the next one. I'm Braden. See you later.